I think Abby worked with Peter in all of Peter's tenure here, and they were very good friends also. Our next speaker retired after 7 years, after working with Dr. Wildenthal for almost 13 years. Even after he retired, he continued to work on a consulting basis for us and for many other universities, and he worked here because of Dr. Wildenthal's request that he continue to assist us. Peter is well known and well respected throughout the UT system. After coming to UT Southwestern in 1988 as Executive Vice President for Business Affairs, he became a leader and close associate to Dr. Wildenthal. I consider Peter my mentor and close friend, and from his home in Clear Lake, south of Houston, he remains an enthusiastic supporter of UT Southwestern. He'll speak today on the legacy as president Dr. Wildenthal leaves with UT Southwestern. Let's welcome back to the campus an old friend, Dr. Peter Fitzgerald.
One Sunday night around 8, not long after I came to work at Southwestern in the late 1980s, I got a call from Don Carlson, who was the safety officer then, to alert me to a fire on campus. Because the fire was in a lab with radioactive materials present, although none were involved in the fire, and it was entirely contained in a fume hood, fire department hazardous materials squads responded, and some firemen were taken to Parkland as a precaution against contamination. The press had gotten interested. The story made the Today Show the next morning, and Carlson was calling me to be sure senior administrators had a heads up. I called Kern's home immediately to brief him, and the phone rang, and I had to try repeatedly for about 45 minutes before I finally got an answer. I figured he and Marnie had been out somewhere for a quiet Sunday dinner. As soon as he heard my voice, he said, "You're calling to tell me about the fire." And I said, "How did you hear about it?" And his answer gave me an early insight into what working at Southwestern was going to be like. I was at my desk when I heard the fire engines, so I went over to see what was going on. He always worked harder than the rest of us, and he seemed always to get the important information first. His industry and intelligence would have been a formidable combination in any undertaking. First as professor and then as dean and president at Southwestern, he used these qualities both as a teaching scientist and as the executive leader of a complex and difficult information-based organization. Many of you in this room do the former, teaching and research, and do it with a high degree of excellence. Few people in the country are really good at the latter. Among those, Kern is certainly one of the best, and because of that, he leaves to you an institution where neither collective nor individual aspiration can be too bold. To do that, he had to understand and manage a very complex environment of intersecting program and political ambitions. A faculty fast achieving prominence in the world scientific community that had both a voracious appetite for resources and a secure knowledge that they could get them elsewhere if they didn't materialize here. A clinical practice almost entirely dependent for its venues and economy upon a conservative local county government. A wealthy Dallas private community that craved excellence in Dallas, but was not focused upon Southwestern. A state government and university system creaky with bureaucratic conservatism and shy about favoring program excellence in the distribution of resources because it led to unpleasant political squabbling. That's all changed, by the way, Dr. Shine, at the UT system. A federal government poised to make large resource commitments to biomedical research, but with a built-in technical bias about the ways it supported research infrastructure in Texas. And administrative support units on campus of decidedly mixed quality, weak particularly in the management and development of human, physical, and information resources. This is the world Kern found in 1986. Simple enough to lay out as a problem, but not so easy to manage. Faculties care deeply about their work, are entrepreneurial, and each and every one of them was the smartest kid in the class all through school. They subscribed to models of governance and decision-making that are part collegial, part totalitarian, part pragmatic practice management, and part market-driven. Kern used academic leadership and pragmatic planning structures to create an environment here in which faculty judgment drives key issues regarding academic program development without bogging down in the conflict and conservatism familiar to many institutions. Kern managed relationships with regents and system administrations effectively by avoiding overt competition with sister institutions and emphasizing the use of empirical information about Southwestern's achievements. At the legislature, Kern stressed, again with data, the relative return the state got for its investment in UT Southwestern, a comparison that gives us a dramatic advantage, but which only worked as well as it did during a long period of drought in statewide general appropriations, because he stayed so close to the process during long sessions of committees, often into the early morning hours, particularly at the time of markup for the appropriations bills. Kern drove his administrative team to address weaknesses mentioned earlier and insisted upon the same attention to detail and discipline that characterized his approach generally. He pushed me and my staff to find ways to improve administrative functions, to find ways to finance a very ambitious building program, to help in the development and organization of the health system, and to acquire real estate that ensures our ability to grow. He was both the most demanding and the easiest person I ever worked for. The tasks were formidable, but he was forthcoming and generous with powerful help in getting them done. His achievements as a fundraiser are astonishing, even given that this is Dallas. What's remarkable to me is that with increasing help over time from those who are his targets in the private community, he did it practically single-handedly, without a big staff of development professionals and the usual parade of fundraising consultants. Kern leaves the institution with impressive numbers. From 1985 to the present, the physical plant has grown in size and quality from about 2.5 million square feet to 10 million, with another 600,000 under construction. The budget has grown 430% when adjusted for inflation. We have 11,000 employees where we had 3,000 then. And the most impressive number of all, the endowment has grown from 40 million in 1985 to 1.3 billion now, about 1,700%, again adjusted for inflation. He always adjusted for everything for inflation, so I had to do it for this talk. Most importantly, Kern leaves an institution that works well internally, is self-confident, has the support and deep respect of community, state, and national academic, business, and political leaders, and has a permanent wealth of resources committed to its goals. You just can't do any better than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. It is a real honor to introduce Dr. Duke Sampson to you. It's somewhat fitting that Duke has been asked to give the remarks summarizing Kern's achievements, leadership achievements in the clinical realm. Churchill said that the chief attribute of leadership is courage. You heard Bill Neves relate one story of courage in terms of risk-taking with the North Campus. There should be no question that it took real courage to undertake expansion of our private referral enterprise, and Kern provided that courage. But the informal and formal leadership of the faculty itself has really come from Dr. Sampson, who's been elected year after year as the official leader of the clinical chairs in our executive committee. Duke has built a truly world-class department of neurosurgery. It is our marquee private referral program, but he's done it within the framework of academic excellence, mentorship of his faculty, many of whom have gone on to their own level of academic achievements. But first and foremost, Duke Sampson defines clinical excellence at UT Southwestern. Duke.